Hi everyone. Hi, I missed you guys so much. It's Ellie from Nourishment Redacted, and welcome to Lioness Lifestyle Live.
Hi everyone, I'm Cristie from Meeting Wellness, and Ellie, I want to be the first one to welcome you back because we did indeed miss you last week. But we are so excited to meet with everyone this evening. Thanks everyone for coming.
And I'm Hayley from Meatiswhereitsat. Get those questions ready for our awesome guest by putting a QQQ in front of your questions.
So every week after the episode, we love for you guys to comment down below. And then we go hunting through those comments to find what we like to call the roar of the week. So, Ellie, get the picanha banner ready.
I'm ready.
Because I love how Eric always lets us know first picanha reference at 45 minutes and 48 seconds by our picanha president, and I guess that's me. The picanha president. So now the first picanha reference was less than 2 minutes in, and Eric, that was just for you.
I love it. That's awesome.
All right. So I'm sorry. I'm so new to everything. I'm like, what are we doing? So I want to give a big special welcome to our guest for this evening, Kat from Meatfield Living. Yay! Hey, Kat, welcome.
Kat.
So, Kat, we are so excited to see you. Thank you so much for being on our show. And if you could please tell us, our audience, about yourself, your health journey, and how you found the carnivore diet.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, all you wonderful, beautiful ladies, for letting me come on here. And I'm really happy to be here. My name is, excuse me, Katerina. Everybody calls me Kat. I am almost 51 years old, and I found the carnivore diet in July of this past year. Sorry, or this last July. I actually was a whole food plant-based vegan. I started out as a vegetarian way back in the day when I, probably about 13 years ago, back when I was in the service. My teenage daughter was into, let me be a vegetarian. You know how kids, well, I don't know if you have teenagers, but they go through these things. And so she decided that she wanted to be a vegetarian. And so I kind of fell in with it. And I was healthy. I was in the Army. I didn't have, any issues. I was young-ish. And over the years, it started to progress from a vegetarian diet to a vegan to then a whole food plant-based vegan. But the reason why that happened was because my health started declining. I started having what they like to call the female problems. I had PCOS, and I was having fibromyalgia issues, anemia really bad, and, having just a lot of those type of female issues. And of course, every time I'd go to the doctor, they'd always be like, well, you're a female and you had a kid or two kids, and that's just what's going to happen. Then I started having really bad migraines. My fibromyalgia was getting worse. I was having horrible gut issues, IBS. They were looking at me for pancreatitis. I had an enlarged spleen for a while. Just a lot of just weird things that were happening, but there was never any kind of solution to it. I started suffering from depression and anxiety, crippling depression and anxiety. And the longer I spent in the service, I just kind of was thinking that it was the Army. I was, getting older, and the Army takes its toll on you. And so, all of this arthritis and all of this, I had a back injury while I was in the service. And so all of these things that the doctors just kept telling me, you're getting older and this is what happens. And you're a woman, and women just naturally get these type of problems anyways. But then the weight started happening. First, it was a few pounds here, a few pounds there. Then the next thing I know, I swear I would, turn my back and look back around, and I'd gain 10 pounds. And I started reaching out to my healthcare provider saying, hey, something's going on here. And they honestly, this is never a joke. People laugh at this, but one doctor actually told me to put the bag of Cheetos down and to get up off the couch. They did not believe that I was following their recommendations. They were throwing pills at me. My blood pressure was really high, my cholesterol. I mean, I tell this story all the time, but my triglycerides were in the 800s. But they didn't believe that this was happening from a whole food plant-based diet. They said, there's no way, you are not complying to our recommendations. And I would try to get a different doctor, and they just continued to just brush me off and make me feel like I was crazy. All of these things that were happening to me. I may have told Cristie this at one time. I even had an incident where my anxiety had hit me so bad because they had put me on antidepressants that I had something called the serotonin syndrome. And I went to the ER with it, having like progressively worse, horrifying panic attacks, racing heart, and all of these things. And they locked me in a padded room and took all of my clothes and all of my belongings from me as if I was crazy. They put me on this medicine and told me that, you know, this is going to fix your problem. And when I came in to talk to them about, they locked me in a padded room. So there was just like this progression of things that were starting, and it's not any one thing. It was just a whole bunch of things. And I would go to my doctor and I would say, I have this horrible pain in my side. And I think they thought that I was malingering. I'm almost positive that I even heard somebody say, oh, you know, because I had gone to the emergency room one year so many times and had so many CAT scans and other things going on with my digestive tract and stuff, that I had the maximum that you could have in a given year, and they could never tell me what was wrong. And I try not to say this, I try not to go too long because I talk a lot, but I was well over 235 pounds 7-8 months ago, probably much higher than that. I went to my doctor again for my back. I was on a walker, and I couldn't even walk without a walker, and I couldn't go places, and I couldn't do things. And I went to my doctor for something. I'm not even positive what it was. And she ran all my, you know, your normal tests, your cholesterol and that. And she was like, look, you've got insulin resistance, you're pre-diabetic, your blood pressure is high, you've got all of these other conditions, you have another undiagnosed autoimmune condition that's causing like this petechiae rash all over my body, that wasn't, you know, my kidneys or my liver. I had already had kidney and liver damage, though. What do you call that? Fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver. And then my kidneys were not functioning the way that they should. And they tried to blame it on, you know, the big C that I had, but I had really a lot of oxalates in my kidneys and interstitial cystitis. So I go to the doctor and I tell her, please help me, because I can't live like this anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore. My mom had just passed away a few months prior, and I didn't want to be around anymore. And my little boy found me in tears. And so I, you know, again, talked to my doctor, please help me. I want to kill myself. Please help me. And she said, here's a prescription for Ozempic. And I always say this, and I'm like, I, number one, can't afford Ozempic. I don't know who could, but number two, is this safe to take? And they were like, yeah, that's what we're doing for insulin resistant and whatever. But I started looking at the side effects, and I got terrified. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. And I started just one more time. I'm going to just look one more time. I'm just going to try something. Obviously, all of these like digestive issues, they're being caused by something that I'm eating, but I don't know what it is. So what can I do to at least fix that? Just one thing. Let's start one thing, because my little boy needed me. And I ran across Dr. Berry's video on insulin resistance. And then it was carnivorous me. And then it was somebody else and somebody else. And I just sat there on the TV just watching all of these videos. And I was like, what do I got to lose? I mean, I'm over here trying to plan my demise. So let's just try it. And I ran over to Sam's Club, and Cristie knows the story. I just started throwing meat, and it had been, I think it was even more than 13 years, but it had been so long since I had looked at meat. And I never really liked meat a whole lot even before I became a vegan. But I started throwing all this stuff in my cart, and it felt gross and it smelled gross. And I even had things like oxtail in there. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just took it all home, and it was horrible. The first few days, I was sick all the time. It smelled bad. I didn't know what I was doing. I was either cooking the meat too much or not enough. It was such a journey. It was such a journey. But that's how I came to it, because I was planning, how I was going to exit stage left, because I had become such a burden to my family and to myself. And when you look in the mirror and you see no worth, because I don't know. I credit it to Dr. Barry, because he's the first one that I saw. And now there's so many amazing people out there telling their stories, that's actually how I decided to do my channel, because I have nobody to support me. It's not to say that my husband wasn't, or that my family wasn't necessarily. They just assumed it was another one of those fad diets. And I said, I'm going to start a YouTube channel because it's going to hold me accountable, because somebody's going to be expecting me to post this video. And, there's somebody else out there like me going through what I'm going through. And there wasn't a whole lot at the time that I started looking, but there's a lot now. But that's how I ended up doing what I'm doing, because I thought that I needed to share my story in case somebody else was trying to unalive themselves as well, because the doctors said they were crazy.
So sorry.
No, go ahead. We both sewed at the same
No,
time.
you're
ahead,
good.
Hayley.
Your story is almost to a T, exactly like my story. And I started in July, and I was whole food plant-based for 9 years. And I like to a T, all the way down to Sam's Club meat, like literally.
Oh, wow.
I called Garrett and I was like, go to Sam's Club and throw enough meat in the cart for 7 days of eating just meat. And he thought I was crazy too. And now, he's doing it too. But your story is so intense and powerful, and just so many things that so many people can relate to. And when you mentioned your doctor, someone in the comments said like, oh, when those doctors gaslight you. And when they said, put down the Cheeto bags, like you're not following our instructions and stuff, I got that a ton. Like, you're not doing it right, obviously. Right. And so I was wondering if you could share with us a typical day of eating on a whole food plant-based diet for you.
So, I would usually start out in the mornings with like a berry smoothie, typically, or some kind of smoothie. I would do that. Sometimes I would do oatmeal. Oatmeal. I used to love oatmeal. I think I still miss oatmeal. But then the thing about being a vegan though, is I was eating all the time. So then I would go out in the kitchen, and I always had like cherry tomatoes and celery sticks and carrot sticks and this homemade ranch that I would make that was, vegan. Plentiful Kiki was her
Oh,
ranch.
yes.
I
watched her too.
Everything that she did, and McDougal, and I would do the 50-50 plate, and sometimes I would be like, rice and all of that. And so for me, my biggest thing, I ate a lot of rice and potatoes, which I now know was completely destroying my cholesterol. And I snacked on celery, almond butter, things like that, those type of things that my doctor kept telling me was perfectly healthy. And then in the evenings, it was oftentimes a salad or something like that. But then I started again. Plentiful Kiki had that cookbook out where she would make all these, like this one soup, this bok choy soup was my favorite that she used to make. And so we had a lot of that. And it was just a constant repeat of that kind of stuff: potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, cut up veggies, salads, the nut butters and almond milk or oat milk, that kind of stuff. And it would just be a cycle of that. Yeah. And my doctor said that that was healthy. And if I was doing that, then there was no way I was gaining weight.
Yeah. Yep, I remember reading the starch solution
Mhm.
and the cheese trap and like
Yep.
yeah, all those things and Dr. is it McDougall who
It's
does the like
McDougall. Yep.
is he the really pale one that people kind of make fun of a little bit? I'm not trying to make fun. I'm just trying to
No,
there's a couple
that's
with
the
the
other one. The
MC.
other,
Notice how she knows who you're talking about.
Mhm.
it's not Dr. McDougall. It's the other tall one, right? He's really, really tall. He looks kind of like he's very unhealthy.
Yes.
I mean, you don't think that though when you first were watching him, but
No, I didn't. I was like, oh look, he's like skinny and I don't know. Yeah,
oh, oh, he's for
Look-
sure healthy.
looking back now, I'm like, I mean, I tried the raw whole food plant-based for a little bit because of Plentiful Kiki. She did
Yeah,
that.
she's on raw because of her thyroid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I failed miserably. I thought there was something so wrong with me because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it just was like it tasted okay, but I couldn't like keep doing it. And now I know it's because, lack of fat and all that stuff. But anyway, yikes. That's so hard. That's so hard when they tell you, well, keep doing it and you'll eventually be healthy.
Yeah, and actually do it. And then, oh, here's a bunch of medicine. Oh, you can't take that because it causes leg cramps for you. Oh, well, you're doing it wrong. Because they tried to put me on some statins and stuff, and I was getting horrible leg cramps. And you're obviously doing it wrong. And I know that there's a malingering tag in my chart in Texas where I came from. I know there is because I kid you not, I would go in there and you could just see them roll their eyes at me when they would walk in. They're like, okay, what are you here for today?
That's so sad.
Susie would like to know if you guys meant Neil Barnard.
Yes.
Bernard.
Dr. Bernard. Yep.
Dr. Bernard. Okay. I don't know
It's
any
all
of these
vegan.
vegan YouTubers. I was not vegan before I went carnivore. So yeah, you guys are speaking it's a foreign language to me, but okay.
Oh, it wasn't. I was thinking of
yes,
somebody
Susie.
else. I can't remember the name though right now. He does like these nutritionfacts.org is his page.
Well,
And
maybe that one. I'll have to look that one up. But Dr. Barnard, Dr. McDougall, they're all like the big players in that.
Yes.
There's another one I know. But we're not here to talk about that. So I can't remember what the other person's name was. But
I know. I'm trying to remember that. It goes around in the Facebook carnivore groups. Like people are comparing him to Dr. Chafee, and I cannot remember the name of that doctor, but it's kind of funny.
I've seen that meme.
But I did think, I know, and I did think that he looked healthy. But then if you compare, that's it, Dr. Grigger. That's right.
Skeletor.
That's the name.
Notice Kat and I are the ones laughing at the Skeletor reference. Ellie and Hayley are
He-Man. He-Man.
Okay, Hayley.
I
Okay, Ellie. Hayley, Skeletor.
No.
Too funny.
Oh my
funny.
gosh. Okay, well, Kat, I have a question for you. So the meat smelled gross, tasted gross. You didn't know how to cook it. Like, how did you get over that hump until I'm assuming you enjoy meat now?
I love it.
That's an assumption, but
well, again, you have to have your why, right? Everybody always says that. And for me, it was really big. It was huge. And so and the reason why I say that is because I would have given up 1,000 times if I did not have that really strong why, that little boy that you can probably hear thumping around up there, because it was hard. It was hard. I was either undercooking the meat, overcooking the meat, gagging. I was, not to do the TMI, it seems we always get into the poop talks on these channels, but
Banner.
I was in the, oh wait, is that something?
yeah, that's a banner we do.
Oh, I was in the bathroom all the time. I was nauseous. I just kept trying. And the truth is it was ground meat is what got me through. It was the one thing that didn't smell funny. It was the one thing that I could season the crap out of and then cook it till it was almost burnt. That was my thing. I would cook it till it was so crispy and I could get that down. And the whole time I'd be like, and then my stomach was so upset. And then you put meat in a stomach that's not used to digesting that. It sat in there like a rock. It was bad. I don't know how I got through it. I can tell you this, if you don't have a why and you're venturing in this just blindly, I could understand why people would give up so easily because it is hard. But after about that second week, I started, that ground meat, it smelled good. Like the ground meat smelled good. Like that became my favorite. And so that's why I say I lived on ground meat probably for my first month, because the oxtails were good, but I mean, and they tasted really good, but getting around that fat, they tell you don't eat fat, and you getting around eating that the first whatever, you're just like, oh, okay. But now, I mean, that's my favorite. But ground meat, it was my savior. Ground meat, and then I introduced eggs and bacon, and those were my big players in the game. And now it's steaks and roasts, and I'm branching out. I'm not a good cook at all. I'm exactly horrible. Pork chops take me out all the time. They are so dry, and I don't know why I can't cook them, but yeah, it's just I know I went off topic. Ground meat's how I got through.
Ground meat is how you got through.
Yes.
Okay. And I thank you for saying how long, because that was going to be my next, like, how long did that take you? So a couple of weeks of
Took about 2
misery.
good weeks of misery.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then once you got over that, how long did it take you to start realizing, well, now I'm feeling better? Like, you had all of those horrible symptoms, that you mentioned. How long, like, what was the first things that you started to notice that were starting to feel better, and how long did that take?
So we joke about this, or we were joking about this in my house. One time I was sitting at in the living room or whatever, and I just kind of like started to like look around, and I would say I actually noticed it when I was still having the nausea. So I want to say about the first probably 5 or 6 days in, I started kind of like doing this, and my husband was like, what are you looking for? And I'm like, I don't know. Something feels different. And he's like, what? And I'm like, my back doesn't hurt. I mean, my back hurt all the time. And like I told you, I have a back injury from the service, and I have a degenerative disc disease, and I've got arthritis, and I've got the sciatica, all these other things. And I was like, is this what it feels like to not have back pain? And we all, we laughed like, oh, must be having a good day. But then I noticed it was continuous. My right knee. Now, mind you, these things are not gone, but I noticed that this weight of this pain was off of me. And I was like, what is going on here? And my husband's like, what are you looking for it behind you? You waiting for it to come? I'm like, I don't know. It just seems so weird. I can turn in my seat. And I noticed what felt to me like my body was lighter. And at this point, or not so heavy or so stout. And it's funny because I only started weighing myself. I had loosely doing the meat and vomiting and diarrheaing. I only started, sorry, I might sleeping in my back, but I hurt myself. That's not from this. I started noticing that I could move easier. I don't know. And to me, I know that sounds weird. People are like, what do you mean you can move easier? I just felt lighter. I felt like something wasn't weighing on my joints. And I guess it's just inflammation. Maybe the inflammation was leaving my body because my hands used to be like, I couldn't move my fingers like sometimes. And that was the first thing I noticed, was this general feeling of lubing up my joints. Maybe. I don't know how to explain that. I know that sounds funny. It was weird.
I think it's incredible. Sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say real quick that I think it's incredible how we can live such long lives and not realize how much pain we were in until it's starting to dissipate, or it completely disappears. And your story is so tragic to me that you went to doctors and you were basically pleading with them, and it just ended up being there was no hope in sight for you. And then you do one simple thing, which, I mean, it's not simple in that it was easy to do, but simple in the grand scheme of things. You changed your diet and you changed your lifestyle. And now you're able to share your experience on YouTube, and you're making so many like connections now. I see you've been very busy on YouTube, which is so fantastic. And so I was just kind of curious if you could give any inspiration for those who might be vegetarian, plant-based, vegan, whatever it is, and if they are suffering still and they might be scared to try the carnivore diet. Do you have any advice for those people?
I understand because I was terrified, especially with cholesterol, triglycerides. My triglycerides were so high that they couldn't measure my cholesterol because it had turned my blood to milk, like essentially. So I understand the fear. But if you're feeling, because there's some people that are vegetarian and vegan and they're like living, they're great, but that wasn't me. And if you're feeling this kind of way, try it. That's what I say, because you don't know how bad you're really feeling until you feel good. And you like, it will make me cry if I talk about it too much, because you think you're doing okay, but you're not. And you don't know that until you actually get to feel that, something's different. And in my case, I knew I wasn't okay, but I didn't know what was doing it. And for me, I needed to do an elimination diet, which that's what the carnivore diet is. Something that you're eating is hurting your body, and eliminate it. And everybody can do it for a couple days. And then at the end of that couple days, do it for a couple more days, and just a couple more days. Get through that first week, get through 2 weeks. You will feel so different. And if you don't, if I'm wrong, if you follow the carnivore diet exactly as it should be followed and you don't feel different, then I understand that it's different for you. But there isn't a single person that I have talked to that has started this way of life that has been suffering like I have that have not felt relief. There's not one person that I know personally that has tried it. So my advice or my word of wisdom is just give yourself the opportunity to feel good again.
What a great answer. Thank you.
Okay, Cristie, we had a question up here. I'm trying to find it.
You're right. We did. Let's go back and find it. I definitely started. Oh, you found it? Okay, cool. There it is.
Asking about oxalate dumping when you were talking about your inflammation lifting. I'm wondering if that might have been part of it. Could you tell us about those experiences? If you had any strange, symptoms of oxalate dumping?
Well, so I'm not really medically educated on oxalate dumping. I do know, however, that my kidneys had oxalate crystals in them. And I know I had a horrible condition called interstitial cystitis. And if anybody has ever gone through that, my heart is out to you, because it is literally the worst thing in the world. I don't know if this is oxalate. So again, educational wise, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I had a lot of headaches and rashes on my skin. I had a lot of pain. My bladder there was no medicine that was making it better during those first couple weeks. And I had a whole lot of just like my joints hurt at first. The first couple days, I felt like I was like somebody was crushing me, maybe the first 2 or 3 days. I started doing electrolytes though, and that kind of helped. So I don't know if that was oxalate dumping or not, but I have to believe that it must have something been doing it, because they saw the oxalate crystals in my kidneys. And my bladder was so... Cristie, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I have had it, and my symptoms were gone, but it was horrible. Horrible.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have a really great answer for that question, because I don't know enough about it to speak. Yes, that's what I had, but it had to have contributed to the misery that I was going through.
So you mentioned kidneys, so I wanted to pop this up here because early on, Sarah said that she's fearful of continuing carnivore with my history of kidney stones. And to Kat's point, it's my understanding, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't medically, can't speak medically about it, but it is my understanding that it's the oxalates. A lot of that stuff is from the vegetables that that's what causes those kidney stones.
So spinach. Actually, spinach has more. If you eat a lot of spinach, it's your baby. Spinach has so many oxalates in it that you can actually oxalate poison yourself by spinach, which is really scary, because I used to eat a lot of it. Now, obviously, cooking things kind of reduces that a little bit. I've been looking into it more, simply because my kidneys, I had reduced kidney function. They saw oxalate crystals in there, and they... hilariously enough, did not tell me to stop eating spinach though. But since I had gone back in after being on the carnivore, they're gone. Those they didn't see them in my kidneys, and my kidney function is back to normal. So I too was very worried about my kidneys because, again, I had the big C, I won't say it, but I had to take Paxlovid, and that damages your kidneys. So was it that? Was it the Paxlovid, or was it my diet? I don't know, but my kidney function was not great. And now it's perfect. Even my cholesterol is good. Everything from July to now, my cholesterol is normal now. My kidney function is normal. They didn't tell me if they still saw the fatty liver, but I mean, I don't know about that, but I don't have, I mean, I could just go on all the things that I don't have anymore.
Right.
But it's the spinach that's causing the oxalates, the spinach and those high oxalate leafy green vegetables, because they're making those crystals so that you don't eat them. They're trying to protect themselves, those plants.
And so I would be willing to bet that Dr. Barry on his channel, if you search, kidney stones, he probably has at least one video, probably more, with his awesome thumbnail. So Sarah, I would refer you to one of Dr. Barry's videos. I'm sure you can find it pretty easily. Okay.
I had a question. You wrote to us saying that one of the most impressive things that you noticed was that your anxiety is nearly 100% gone, and you haven't had any panic attacks. As someone who's also had relief from panic attacks and anxiety and depression and mental illness in general from switching over to a carnivore diet, can you tell me about what your experience was like before, when you were experiencing those horrible things, and how you're feeling now comparatively? Like, how's your quality of life?
Definitely better. And like I say, nothing is gone completely. I still suffer from anxiety. I have untreated ADHD that goes along with that. Because I can't take it because of my heart medicines for it. But so I've always had the ADHD, but as I started, and so the problem is I'm a veteran and I have been through some things. And so PTSD is like our calling card, unfortunately, for my brothers and sisters in arms. But they often say, oh, well, it's just PTSD, you were in the service or whatever. And so I always accepted that. But I got out of the service, and then I started noticing that going out in public was causing me to just feel like just so bad. And it started like this weird racing heart and agitation. And then over time, it started to get so bad that I couldn't be in rooms with loud noises. I couldn't be, that startles the daylights out of me. I wasn't sleeping really well, which wasn't helping the situation. I started having very physical panic attacks. And people are like, oh, well, what were you doing? Well, this is a TMI. I was on the bathroom going potty. I was taking a number 2 one time, and a panic attack hit me. Oh, yeah, sorry. A panic attack hit me, and it was, my arms went completely like pins and needles, like tingly. My legs, I felt like I couldn't feel them. My chest hurt so bad. I later found out that it was like my heart was racing. I was getting this like black tunnel vision in my eyes. And I passed out on the toilet, on the floor, in my bathroom from a panic attack. My children ended up having, and then when I came through and crawled myself out with my pants around my ankles to the living room, I was throwing up. My children called 911. They came in, hooked up all this stuff to me, and they're the ones that told me. They were the first people. The EMT said, you're having a panic attack. And I'm like, that's a panic attack? Why? I was going to the bathroom. And they were like, did you have a stressful day? No, I didn't. I didn't have a stressful day. And then I would start to not be able, like if there was a lot of kids coming, because between me and my husband, we have a house full of children, too much of that. And I was having a panic attack and losing my cool. You guys, I was yelling at my babies. I was yelling at my husband. It was horrible. I became a recluse. before the thing happened where everybody worked from home, I never left my house. I got a reasonable accommodation so that I could work from home. I had to go to the grocery store at 6 o'clock in the morning when it opened, because if there was a bunch of people in there, and I feel sorry for all of my family. If they're watching, I just want to tell them all how sorry I am for ripping them new ones every day, freaking out on them, because that is gone. That is gone. I still have anxiety attacks. To the point where, like, not really anxiety attacks, but more like if there's too many people or too much noise, I'm still like, this isn't my favorite. But I'm not freaking out and passing out and going to emergency rooms and having 911 called on me. I went to the school and registered the boys for school, and there was tons of people there. Did it make me happy? No, but I did it. I did it, and I made it through. And I can go to Walmart, and I can go to Sam's Club. And, I even went to a Christmas thing with my grandbaby, like a park that had like rides and stuff in it. And I made it. I made it through there. I mean, did I come home a little? Yeah, but I did. I made it. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it at all.
Wow.
I was a horrible person to be around.
My experience with that is very similar. Like, and I just applaud you for being willing to like be in those situations, because even making that decision, like still, even now, I'll be like, oh gosh, we need things from the grocery store. And I'll immediately ask Garrett, can you stop by on your way home from work? Because I don't want to go be around people. And I still struggle with that. I'm like trying not to be one of those people. It's a specific disorder that people have, a mental disorder where it has a name, and it's where you like don't want to be outside of your home, outside of your safe place. And like before Carnivore, this was all before Carnivore, I had similar things where I would like pass out on the toilet. I was just told by the EMTs that like this just happens to people, and I didn't even ever that's what I wondered. I'm like, and Garrett was like, I was like slapping her face to wake her up, and she, like, this just happens to people, just, oh, thank you, Ellie. Yes, that's what it is. And before Carnivore, Garrett would say like, Hayley, you're gonna get this, and I'm like, he's like, you just got to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and I still struggle with that. And so I applaud you for, doing your best to like put yourself in that position, because that is hard. That's tough. And I totally get it.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that had a panic attack on the toilet, because it's embarrassing, but I mean, this is real life. I'm going to just tell you how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for that. I definitely had that fear of leaving my house too. Actually, didn't leave my house for like 5-ish years. Well, like alone. I always was with my husband or somebody else if I had to go out. But it is really scary when you don't know that you're going to be able to function. You're not going to be able to mingle with other people. You're not going to be able to like participate. And that in itself can be a nightmare. And so I'm like, we all are probably feeling, we're just so glad you're here to share your experience, because there are so many people suffering with mental health.
Then when the panic attack hits, everybody's looking at you like there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't want to say I'm a vain person, but I'm a little bit of a vain person. And so people looking at me, and just like, what's wrong with her? And it was just humiliating to me. It really was. And you don't know when it's going to happen. You could be picking up a box of Cheez-Its, for crying out loud, and something happens. And the next thing you know, you're on the floor of Walmart with your pants around your leg.
And I want to mention too that like I kind of, before that phase of my life, it was several years. It was probably like 3 or 4 years where that was happening to me too. And like, it would be when we had family visiting for like Thanksgiving. I remember a specific event. I think my mother-in-law is even here, and she probably remembers that, but I just got up early at 6 a.m. to like stuff the turkey with the butter. And out of the blue, I had all this butter on my hands, and I just thought I was going to pass out. And my husband like walked me into the living room, and I didn't understand what that was. And I do feel like it was like this stress response, even though nothing immediately at that moment had happened, but people had stayed the night. And I just like woke up on the couch, and Garrett's like, oh my gosh, I had to catch you in the living room and like lay you on the couch. And we all got freaked out. My in-laws were there and they saw it, and it was embarrassing. And like, I used to kind of wonder about people that couldn't function properly in public, like, oh, there's something wrong with you. And then I became that person. And so now like you and I can, relate to those people and be more understanding when they're maybe acting different in public, or maybe they do need someone to say, hey, are you okay? Do you need to sit down? And I almost had to reach out to someone like at Hobby Lobby. I was with my daughter and I thought I was going to pass out in the middle of the aisle. And there were these people right there picking out ornaments. And I almost had to be like, hey, could you like help me sit down? But like I didn't, because I was afraid, of what they would think of me. And I think we all have that side of us that's like vain, where we're like, I just want to be a normal person and not draw attention to myself.
And that was the conundrum for me too, because then I would get mad because people were treating me with kid gloves, like, oh, she can't do that, or she can't do that. And I know that I couldn't, but then I'd be mad that stop saying that. There's nothing wrong with me, but there was. And it was like this just never ending cyclical thing. And it was hard. Again, it just led to no quality of life whatsoever. Nobody wanted to be around me. My kids, when they would be like, oh, well, we can't do this because mom, or let's go to the zoo. Well, we'll have to, they rented a wheelchair for me one time and they kept letting it go. And I was running into, and it's funny, we joke about it now, but I think I was just such a burden to them that they would let my wheelchair go and I'd run into the bamboo or whatever. And like, I became the butt of people's jokes. My family are a bunch of kidders anyways, but still, like, I became that burden. And God, that's horrible to feel. I'm supposed to be the strong one with my kids, not, them raising me. It's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
Well, and when you have those breakdowns too, like I remember my oldest was like 6 at the time, and she would come over and like pat my cheeks and be like, Mom, it's okay. I'm holding you through it. And it's like, this is ridiculous. Like, why? This should be the other way around. But for some reason, I don't know what's wrong with me, but now I know it was a nutrient deficiency or something along those lines. And
my little boy's the one that found me and brought out a blankie. My mother, who had just passed away, had made him a blanket. And that was his comfort thing. He has epilepsy, so his blankie is his comfort. And he brought that out and covered me with his blankie and was patting me. And I'm like, my baby should not be out here trying to tell his mother that it is okay. And if only he knew that I was planning, for him to wake up the next day and not have me there. And so, that's your children. That's what I say. He should have never been in a position where he had to comfort his mother. That's what I'm for.
Yeah.
And that was my wake up call. See, I'll start crying even. That was my wake up call, because that little boy was trying to give me his blankie, his sweet blankie.
An angel.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple of more questions. So this one is from David asking how your back is and hope you're well. I know Kat was supposed to be on last week and she had a little incident, but she's back. She's here. But David would like to know how your back is doing.
Well, Dave, the snow took me out. Like I said, I had a back injury anyway, so I really need to be careful. Just because I feel better doesn't mean that my back is 1,000% better. But we got a lot of snow. And I was very excited because I'm like, yay, snow. And I went out there and somebody that is hard work, you guys. I was out there and then we had this little snow blower and it's like this little plug-in one. And I thought, that was just as bad. I tripped over. I hurt myself really bad. I was out of work. I was so messed up on pain pills. I'm sorry I missed the show. I feel horrible about it, but I honestly didn't even know you ladies existed last week.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
No worries.
We figured it was something.
Yep. Yeah, we were worried about you.
So bad when I got back on my phone. I was like, oh my God.
No, it was good. We had
just
fun.
glad you're okay. We were worried about you. We're like, oh no, because we knew you wouldn't just blow us off. So, but it's nice to see that you're on the mend. And then Susie's wondering if you could please talk about your experience with fibromyalgia. How has Carnivore helped with that?
So So fibromyalgia is one of those, what do they call those, by exclusion type diagnoses, I guess.
It's
But
like an
they
umbrella.
gave
It's like an
me
umbrella term.
gabapentin for that. One of the many cocktails of drugs that they've given me to handle my conditions over the years, which for the record, I do not take. But I that's another one of those things where my practitioner thought that I was making things up. Honestly, you go in there and you tell them your whole body hurts, and they're like, well, there's no test that we can run or whatever. So I just dealt with it for many, many years. Some days not being able to get, I told you I was on a walker. I couldn't get out of, get off the couch some days. And it is, again, a crushing pain. I don't know how to describe it other than I told you it felt like something was weighing on my body, but at the same time, I would have shooting pains or achiness or whatever. And then I think I told you, it was very early on in the carnivore diet that I started realizing, wait a second, I'm moving, my body doesn't hurt. I mean, there were days, this might sound crazy, but there were days I couldn't get out of my bed, and even laying in bed hurt me so bad. It hurt my back, everything just hurt all the time. And I know, I see Deb says gabapentin is scary. Yes, do not ever read what that drug can do to you. It is horrible. But I would go to my doctor, and after a while, they're just like, cuckoo for the Cocoa Puffs. But I just don't know how to explain it. I could move. It felt like something wasn't crushing me. There are still days, especially when I fall out in my driveway, where my whole body hurts. And there are days where if I have too much dairy, my body hurts. I have learned very quickly, though, that if I cut that crap out, then my body doesn't hurt as much. So for me, it has been a huge relief. I'm not saying it's cured it 100% because I haven't been on the carnivore diet that long. I wonder what it'll be like a year from now or 2 years from now. But I felt a huge relief right away. I did.
Yeah, that great. Like my mom actually has fibromyalgia, and she's on gabapentin, and she gets night terrors, like they're horrible. And she describes her vivid. Yeah, like she beats up her husband. It's very scary.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny, but not funny. It's funny, not funny, but it's like I could just only laugh about it because I wish that she would listen to me. Like, and all the amazing stories that we have on here, she describes her pain as like burning. Like, as my mom, she was. We're not going to go into this, but she was struck by lightning and electrocuted.
Oh, wow.
And so she has fibromyalgia because of it and PTSD. So, relating that to you. And she expresses her pain with like half of her body being on fire. Would you say that that's accurate for you too? Or?
Well, okay. Yes. And also, yes, because I also have a lot of neuropathy. I have a lot of nerve damage. So my body, especially my left side, is burning a lot of times. Yeah. That nerve pain, which fibromyalgia, is burning. And so I don't know if it's from the fibro, if it's from the neuropathy, which for the record, gabapentin is also what they use to treat that as well. So it's a double-edged knife on that one. But the burn, yes, I would describe burning as also, like I said, you can lay in your bed and just everything on your body feels horrible, and you don't even want to roll over because your body feels. So I feel for your mother because it is another miserable thing, and that's like what I want to tell my sister because she also has it, and if she would just try carnivore, maybe she would get some relief, but. You can't make people do stuff. They have to want to do it on their own. So, and she doesn't want to do it. So
I relate so much. Thank you.
So Poppy is saying, good morning, ladies. I'm in South Africa. It's 3:46 a.m. and I'm wide awake. I should be sleeping, but every day at 3 a.m. I wake up. What can I do to fix this? Anyone have any sleep advice?
Magnesium.
Magnesium.
You can get magnesium lotion too that's infused with it, or you can get Epsom salts and make an Epsom salt bath. That tends to help your body relax. I do that all the time, especially when I'm stressed out. I've probably taken a Epsom salt bath every day for the past 5 days. Garrett like rolls his eyes, but it does help. It helps you go to sleep. It helps you relax. So those would be my pieces of advice. But
recently, the channel is Nia's Way. I can type it in the chat. She recently she's been going through this herself and got a lot of comments from her subscribers, and they talk actively about sleeping and having trouble possibly with carnivore and some things that you can do. I'll find a link and I'm going to put it in the chat for you. One moment.
Perfect.
Well, has anybody noticed that they need less sleep and wake up more refreshed? Now, I get up at around 3 something every single day, but there was a big time change for me. We lost an hour, or the time change, and then the time change for coming out here to Colorado. So I already was kind of on a messed up schedule, but I think all of my years in the service, I always would get up around 4 or 5, but I'm waking up around 3:45, 4 o'clock almost every day, and I feel rested. I don't feel like I have to drag myself. Well, the last few days I've had to drag myself, but that's muscle relaxers in my system. But I feel like I could just get up and I need less sleep and I feel more rested since being on carnivore. I don't know if anybody else has that, but I don't force it. If I wake up and I'm awake, I get up and start my day.
yes, I feel the same way. I think, and I was strict carnivore at the beginning, like very strict, and no dairy or anything like that added in either. It was just like eggs, bacon, red meat, maybe some chicken in there. And I had the insomnia at the beginning, which a lot of people will have when they're transitioning. But then Garrett and I would both wake up at like 5 a.m. and I'm like, what am I going to do right now? Like, I don't have anything to do right now. And so I would end up like scrolling my phone or something, but that you could obviously be more productive with that. But when I added in more keto foods like salsa and avocado or whatever that I would put on eggs and stuff, I've noticed recently, you guys, that I am struggling to get up. Like I sleep so much later and I'm not rested, even though I'm sleeping longer. So anyway, that's just my experience. But yes, I feel that. Like recently I've cut it to more strict and I wake up early again. And I like, if we think about that ancestrally, that makes sense, right? We would want more daytime to get more things done. Right. And so anyway, I totally resonate with that.
David says, for me, removing the TV and treating the bedroom as a place to sleep rather than another living room helped with better sleep.
Yeah, I don't have a TV in my bedroom, so.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. You know, they say electronics, that causes the problem. But like I said, for me, I just notice I don't go to bed and scroll or whatever because I suffered from insomnia for a long time. Night sweats, things like that. Even before I became perimenopausal, I would have all of those type of things, which was probably too much of whatever I was eating maybe. But I just noticed that I do go to bed a little earlier than the average person though. So I think I'm usually in bed around 9 because you know I'm old and I get up super early. But I will read. I'm a reader.
You don't look old.
I
was shocked by your age. Honestly, I was like scrolling through our little thing here. I'm like, what?
Yeah. But, so I'm a big reader. Like I'm a book person. So I always read before I go to bed. And maybe that's, I don't know, but I go fall asleep. I stay asleep now. I was suffering from, like I said, night sweats. I get restless leg, or like I said, just this is just crazy. I would spend thousands of dollars on mattresses because laying on my bed hurt so bad, my back and stuff. And now I'm just like, boom, I'm out. It's like, it's the greatest thing. I don't know if it's the mattress because I did get a new mattress when I moved out here, but I sleep really, really good, really soundly. I'm not having those night sweats, and then I'm up by 4 most days.
It's crazy. Your old symptoms, they sound just like my mom, but I'm just like, my heart's racing over here. So I have a personal connection to you now. Like I have so much sympathy for what you're going through. It's not fun.
Okay, maybe I could equate it to butter too, because ever since I was having perimenopausal symptoms, I saw somebody one of you amazing people somewhere said something about eating butter for menopause symptoms, and now was it you? It was probably you. And I started eating butter, and maybe that's what's doing it. I don't know, but
Light butter.
Butter.
Yes.
Light butter.
As soon as I started eating butter, like sticks of butter, I don't know, mattress, carnivore butter, something has made it better. I think it's the butter though, because that's what I started eating a lot of.
Yeah, Dr. Bright talks about butter and how it helps. That's like the fat, and is what really, if you have like hormonal issues, thyroid or any of that stuff, like it's the fat that you need. And she recommends, I mean, it can be any fat, but she does talk about butter.
Starting out carnivore, besides the meat, if you weren't eating meat before, is eating the right amount or enough fat. Because I struggled with that in the beginning. You eat a butter, you're going to just eat it. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I crave it now. I'm just like, I need that white butter right now.
I had some cereal earlier.
I want to throw up this question here really quick because I was really curious what your general reactions to eating carnivore among your family and friends were after switching away from whole food plant-based.
Oh, they all think I'm crazy. But I mean, they thought I was crazy anyway. So the funny thing about it is this is just a fad diet. But I tried to sell it on this is an elimination diet. Something's making me sick and I'm eliminating it from my diet. I didn't start out with the intent that I would stay carnivore long term. But the couple times that I fell off of it, like Christmas is a story for another time, I felt so horrible afterwards that I don't know that I will ever go back to eating regular. But it's my family in general thinks that it's weird. Everybody believes, don't eat that fat on that steak. Number one, don't eat that stick of butter. And I get a lot of, where's your vegetables? You need to have a balanced plate. You need vegetables, you need fruits, your body needs that. And I've tried to tell them no, because again, we're going to have, you guys can raise your finger. If you're eating a bunch of food and you're turning around and pooping it out, then your body did not need it. And that's what I tell them. I'm like, well, and then they're like, oh, you're constipated. No, I'm not. But anyways, they think I'm crazy. They just think it's another fad that I'm trying because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that I lost a bunch of weight, I lost 47 pounds of weight that I wasn't trying to lose. I needed to. I was very overweight. I'm still overweight, but I didn't do it to lose weight. I would have stayed that size forever if I could have just felt better. I would have been this big, but happy, and so it was never intended to lose weight, but 47 pounds dropped off in just a couple months. I haven't weighed myself recently. But I mean, I don't know. They look at that and they're like, yeah, of course you're losing weight because you're unhealthy. Your body it's not getting what it needs. You're wasting away. You're
wasting away.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
You're paving the way. You are paving the way to health for other people. They will see it. They'll see the difference and they'll get too curious. That's what happens.
do actually have a really good close family friend that's been following me that tried it. And at first it was a rough, rocky road for him because he was still trying to have those cheat days and things like that. And I was like, no, if you're going to do it and you want to give me an opinion, do it correctly. Try it. And he's been dropping weight like crazy. He hasn't been having any acid reflux. I mean, every day he's like 61 days acid free or whatever. And I'm just like, it just makes me so happy because,
cool.
I mean, he's just a little younger than me and has been, John, I love you. This is not an insult, larger for a long time and having a lot of, health complications and stuff. And just to have him text me and say, acid free, I haven't been carrying around this, or I'm down this, or I'm down this much, or I weighed in and here. That is makes me feel so good. And if just one person tries it and does it, then I feel good. I feel happy.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Well, ladies, I think it's time to spin our wheel. What do you think?
Ooh, let's.
Yeah. Okay, I have it ready here.
I missed the spinning wheel. I missed it. So exciting.
All right, here is
Oh,
our
it
meaty
really is.
wheel.
How cute.
It's a wheel,
Spin the
yes.
wheel.
Yes,
Oh,
I
that's
even have
cute.
this lifestyle here on there. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and spin this for you and hunt you down a meaty question.
So cute.
All right, the meaty question we have hunted down for you is, have you noticed any changes in your physical performance or athletic abilities since starting this diet?
Okay. No. Yeah, no. So I don't work out. I never thought that I would be able to. So maybe you should spin it again. No, actually, the thought I had recently started going to the gym with my daughter before I fell and hurt myself, and lifting some heavy things, and that would not have happened. So I'm not an endurance athlete. I don't work out as a rule, but the fact that I thought that I could or that I might be able to, in my mind, is a change mentally and physically, that I feel that my body, I could, I might, I will, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
That's
amazing.
not the best question for me because couch potato, but
Well, you mentioned though that like your physical performance in general, like on a daily basis, you can move better. You don't experience as much pain in certain areas. And so that's definitely physical performance that has gotten better. I mean, most, especially at, your age, that a lot of people were experiencing similar things, or hopefully they're watching this and are experiencing similar things. It can be like, oh, if the only positive thing I get out of the carnivore diet is that my back stops hurting, then they'd probably do it, because that's debilitating, isn't it? When your back supports your entire body, the top and the bottom, So yeah,
and
I
just
think
the fact that I'm thinking about going camping or walking,
yes,
that's a big thing. That's big for me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you guys, is it time to shout out the channel?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. Ellie, are you ready?
I would love to.
I love
Here
Kat's
we
channel.
go. So obviously today we've been awed by Kat's amazing journey from being plant-based to now carnivore. I think we've all learned some wonderful things. So please go check out Kat's channel at Meat Field Living. And she has lots of recipe videos and like unboxing videos. And she also goes live a lot. And she talks about her carnivore journey. So everyone, please go subscribe to Meat Field Living.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, should we roar? Are you ready,
We need
Kat?
to roar.
Yeah, I'm ready to roar.
Yay. Okay, guys, you know what to do. Bruce just said he subbed to Kat. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Everybody
Awesome.
sub to Kat. Any support is always so welcome to build this community that we have, especially these ladies around here. So get those roars ready. Roar, meow, hiss. Do cats hiss? I don't know.
Cats
My
do
cat
hiss.
Okay, get those ready. Put them in the comments so I can throw them up on the screen here. Ready, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Cool. Ellie, you got a good one with that deep voice of yours.
Yeah.
I love.
I've got range now.
Thank you,
I told you
Deb.
Stevie Nicks. She sounds like Stevie Nicks.
Sing
good.
something for us, Ellie.
Yeah.
I lost my singing voice. Maybe next time.
Oh, look at this teeny tiny roar from Garrett.
Oh, little.
It's like
Oh, look at that roar. How she roar so small.
oh, picanha.
Yes,
Picanha.
roar,
Picanha
roar.
queen.
I'm not prepared. I'm
Right.
not prepared. There you go.
I'm so devastated. I can't find it here.
Yeah.
I
Wow,
got it at Walmart, but now I can't get it here.
Yeah, that makes me sad for you.
The worst.
The roar from Susie. Thanks, you guys. We always appreciate those and the participation. And thanks for joining us with Kat. We've loved talking to her, and what an amazing story.
Yeah. All right, everybody. I guess that's it. We'll say goodnight and we'll see you next Tuesday with another guest. Bye.
Love you. Bye.